thank you so much for joining me once again for another book review. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. This book is called The Younger Wife by Sally Hepworth. At least that's how I pronounce the author's name. And this is the cover of the book. Cute cover. This story begins with a description of someone possibly being injured at a wedding. Now, throughout the story, the author flips between the past and the present, leading us back up to the wedding. So, let me go ahead and tell you about some of the people involved in this story. So, first off, we have Stefan. He is a highly regarded doctor. He is married to Pamela and the father to adult children, Rachel and Pulley. Now, Stefan is charming and seems to be loving and supporting of his family, kind of like this just good guy, right? And then we have Pamela, who has Alzheimer's and is eventually placed in a facility. She has moments of clarity, but also displays erratic behaviors, being physically aggressive, and she makes concerning comments about Stefan. Now, Thule is married to a man named Sonny, and they have two young children. Now, Thule has been depicted as always being like odd. And as an adult, she displays some concerning behaviors. And one of them is an illegal act that lands her in court. And I'm going to let you read the book to find out what it is she did. Now, Sunny is a lawyer and invested their money, which he lost, and thus caused he and his family to drastically downsize their life because, they were living in an affluent community, they were living above middle class standards. And once he lost their money, they had to go back to a humble beginning level. Then we have Rachel, which is described as a voluptuous baker that hasn't dated anyone for 20 years. Now, Rachel has steered clear of any intimate relationships until Darcy comes along. Now, Darcy hasn't had employment for at least a year. He was part of an unemployment pool and was hired by Rachel to be her delivery driver. Then there's Heather, that becomes Stefan and Pamela's interior designer. Heather came from humble beginnings. She's in her 30s and has created a facade of her life to fit into the affluent circles and make a better life for herself. Now, Heather believes she will have the life she wants with Stefan and his family if given the chance. Now, Heather and Stefan have grown closer during the renovations of his home. So much so that Pamela, his wife, is sent to a facility because of her Alzheimer's. Heather and Stefan are now dating and have had an accelerated relationship to the point of being engaged. Yeah, you heard that. They're engaged. Now, Thule and Rachel are very much caught off guard by this revelation and are equally kicked off kilter in their personal lives. The stress of everything going on has heightened Thule's odd and criminal behavior. Rachel has begun to doubt her father's character, and a childhood incident has resurfaced in a way she cannot suppress anymore. With Rachel's concern about the perception she has had about her father being in question, She began asking questions which prompted more family secrets to be revealed. We also see how this new relationship is affecting Heather and how her past comes back and makes her question what's happening in her present. We see how stress can trigger memories and behaviors, which we saw with these characters. It showed how one could question their reality when under stress or significant changes are occurring in their lives. The lead up to the wedding opened the family secret floodgates, okay? And we get to see how everything comes out after the wash. Now, you'll have to read the book to find out all of those juicy tidbits. Now, this story is set in Australia. However, the author didn't give any like scenic descriptions of what it looked like in Australia. I would have liked to have kind of like a glimpse of the area in which they lived, give us like some scenic descriptions, some, landmark descriptions, some something. There was really no Australia ness in the story. It was just like a little blurb that clued you in to where they were, but that was it. By knowing it was set in Australia, it kind of guided me towards what the characters may have sounded like, but like the terms or sayings really were not incorporated into the story. So if the author didn't slide Australia in there, we would have just thought they were in the US somewhere, some state somewhere. Um, but just having that little inkling kind of made me have the characters speaking in an Australian-ish accent, even though they didn't like really use any Aus- what I would think of as Australian terminology, really. So there's that. The story is moderately paced. I would have liked some of the scenes to have more heightened wording. It came across more like even tone to me. Some of the parts of the story, if the wording had have been more intense, it would have kind of given a more dramatic feel or climatic feel to it, but it kind of fell short there for me. You may experience a variety of emotions while reading this book. I definitely wanted to flip the pages to find out what was going to happen next and how things panned out. There is domestic violence, sexual assault, cursing, and death mentioned in the story. So, overall, I did enjoy the story and I gave it an 8 out of 10. I got this book from the Dollar Tree. Yes, my local stores have a very, very small book selection in our Dollar Tree stores. I have found some really good books there though. So check it out. Check out one of the stores in your area and see if they have a little tiny book section and see what little gems you can find there. Hoopla has this book categorized as adult, domestic, and women fiction. Libby shows the book as thriller and fiction. Storygraph lists this book as mystery, fiction, thriller, tense, and dark. And I would have to agree with that. If they wanted to throw in romance, there's a little bit of that too. There are no discussion questions provided. Some conversation prompts I would give are: does one need to know everything about their significant other? Recently, I did have a discussion of another book, and it was brought up about parents not providing their children with information about themselves and their lives, which also relates to what happened in this book. So, talk about that. What is or isn't pertinent to tell a significant other or your children about yourself, your life, your history, your experiences? What is acceptable to keep to yourself? Then you could talk about we as humans, we are ever changing and evolving. So, as those things happen in our lives, are we obligated to notify a significant other of those changes? Or should your partner be expected to be in tune with you enough to recognize those changes? Also, talk about when stressed, depressed, or having anxiety, what is your go-to fix? Okay. In this story, we see binge or overeating, we see theft, we see alcohol usage, we even see a little bit of denial occurring in these stressful situations on how these characters deal with what is happening in their lives. Also, talk about abusive relationships often ending in death. This book touched on what one would perceive as abuse, like the questioning of it. Is whatever happening, is that to the level that would be considered abuse? So talk about what is considered abuse by law versus society perspective or society norms. I think one example in the book is, was Heather tripped, or did she trip on her own, or was she pushed? So in this book, there is some questioning of what may be abusive behavior. So, talk about that. Also, talk about how childhood memories come back when prompted with receiving new information. Recalling childhood memories or experiences through the eyes of an adult may change the perspective of how you view that event. And that was described in this book as well. There were some incidents that happened in Rachel and Tully's life as children, and as adults, Rachel thinking back on those things and in the process of questioning her father's character, kind of was like, with this new information, should I be looking at that incident a little bit differently? Yeah, talk about that. And also talk about, would you invite your most recent ex to your wedding? Why or why not? There's a lot of discussion that could occur after reading this book. You can take a deep dive, you can make it surface level. That is all up to you. So I hope that I have piqued your interest enough for you to consider picking this book up for yourself. Again, the book is called The Younger Wife by Sally Hepworth. At least that's how I pronounce the last name. So that's it for this time. As always, you can go ahead and click that like, share, and subscribe buttons, leave comments. Please review any of the other videos that I have posted if you are looking for more content. Um, and go pick this book up if what I said has interest you. So that's all for now. So until next time, keep turning the pages, my book lovers.